the insight that you gain as you kind of metabolize and decompose these components that might otherwise be stuck. I feel like before one experiences these kinds of altered states, it's very easy to live a life where you don't understand the kind of the deep causal web that made you the way you are. So, for me, it might have been, oh, I have asthma. That's it. This is just the way I am. There's no deep explanation. It's just the way I am. Or if you're someone who reacts with anger very quickly, you just say, yeah, it's just how I am. I've always been that way. There's no story to tell there. Or if you have depression, that can very much feel like a lot of people suffering depression feel they have zero idea why they feel depressed, right? It's just they're in this kind of deep, inescapable psychological hole and they don't know why they're there. And then I feel like with the psilocybin, it can really start to break up these things and make them more manageable in the altered state, because as you say, you're being held by this very positive, subjective feeling of kind of love, or feeling like you're kind of coming home, or how you describe it. And then, you can go on this journey of starting to unpick what are the causal influences? Like, how can I understand everything about myself, even going into understanding kind of inherited trauma, right? Intergenerational trauma. And you see yourself as something that has a narrative that stretches out in all directions, rather than as this monolithic thing that just has these blocks where you're just like, oh, I just am that way. There's no story there.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to talk about something I haven't really talked about with anyone, and do it with you. I'm writing about it, trying not to talk too much about it. I won't tell you which of this I haven't spoken about before, but I'll just throw it all in as like one big lump. I think that it is absolutely possible for people to exit out of the "this is who I am" fixed mind state model of themselves in ways that aren't psilocybin. There's a lot of places where that has become casual learning. That has become almost like more readily apparent in the commons. Of course, you learn it early in life, you got it for life. You learn fixed mindset earlier in life, it's a lot harder to change. So Dr. Andrew Huberman, he says that, after about 25, your ability to learn stuff gets like way lower. You have to intentionally choose to learn it and effort to learn it. And learning a non-fixed mindset, I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for is now, is not easy. It's not an easy thing to learn if you're already in your like upper 30s or beyond. But it is possible. There's a lot of places where that is kept in mind. Psychotherapy being a great example. I had a friend, colleague, Nick's son, who is a comedian, psychedelic comedian guy out of Australia. He says, like, he described it as like the pre-therapeutic and the post-therapeutic mindset, right? And with psilocybin, I believe truly that it wants to, like all mushrooms in a larger ecosystem, it wants to bring about what needs to be done to return wholeness to the system. And there's a lot of discussion there about that metaphor, that where it could fall apart or whatever, like, what about invasive species? What about this? What about that? Okay, fair enough. But like, I think that is what they want to do. I don't know. I've never had a conversation with a mushroom where it wasn't filtered through my own assumptions. So I don't really know what they want. I'm just kind of like, hypothesizing, but that it won't be that way if you don't have a sense of the thing, right? If you took psychedelics, as an established academic with a sense of the thing and a receptivity to the thing, with an understanding of psychology, it's going to reveal that aspect of itself for you. Mindset, like the experience itself, how it subjectively manifests, what it presents to you, and how it presents that what to you, and then how we respond to the hows and whats that it's presenting, is umpired by the mindset with which we step into, which includes our framework of understanding of what psilocybin is generally, but also our mental representation of what psilocybin is as a distinguished something. And then, of course, how that fits in the larger web of our life. And it's entirely possible to have a framework conscious or otherwise, and a model and a representation that sees psilocybin as nothing more than a party drug, and negative feelings come, that means you have a bad trip. That's also a model. And so then it's not like this thing that is holding you in love and whatever else. Because of that, it's this thing now, this drug that is now assaulting your mind. And so the what's in the hows now change, and how you respond to it changes. And what you have on the other side could still be generative. Anything a psychedelic experience offers you can be made generative, bad trip or not, afterwards, as a manner in which, by the manner in which we choose to work with it or get supported in working with it. But it doesn't happen by default. I do believe what we want to do is establish a mindset and a context of use and a relationship with psilocybin that that unhinders its intelligence. And it's very easy to obfuscate that intelligence with our biases and our assumptions and blah, blah, blah. Even if we're thinking really positively about it, it's really easy to come out the other end and say, I know what the mushroom is. No, you don't. You only know what the mushroom revealed itself to you, revealed itself as to you, and according to what you had for it going in, even if you experience things you weren't anticipating. It can only work with what you got. I'd like to think that over time, it learns you as you learn it. And then what you've got for it and what it's got for you can grow in complexity and coherence. Throwing you curveballs every now and then, because that's what it is, you get cocky, you get a curveball. But yeah, so it's not definitely like that. Right. And I think that's really important, especially in the current landscape right now of trying to position psilocybin as this incredible medicine, which it is, which it also is not only, but that's an aside, is that, it's not the way Mark Hayden talked about it on Goop. It's there's a lot there, if that makes sense.